An extravagant wedding at a beachside resort. Guests in designer suits and evening gowns. Business executives. Politicians. Old money. A single dad stands beside a female billionaire, around 40 years old. Simple suit, slightly worn, out of place. He only came because she said, "I do not want to be alone there." Eyes around them, scanning, whispering. A relative asks quietly, "He is security?" The single dad lowers his head. He does not explain. His son, 8 years old, holds his father's hand tightly. A bridesmaid laughs mockingly. Wrong plus one, do not you think? The billionaire has not responded yet. The ceremony is about to begin, and no one knows. This quiet man will freeze the entire ballroom with just one word, a word that changes everything. Type respect if no one should be judged at a wedding. His name is Ethan Cole, 42 years old, single father, operations consultant, freelance project manager. That is what he tells people. It is not a lie, but it is not the whole truth either. Ethan keeps his life quiet, private, invisible. He does not talk about his past. He does not mention his achievements. He does not drop names or titles. He lives simply, a small apartment, modest car, normal routine. His son Noah is 8 years old, bright eyes, constant questions. "Dad, why do people stare at you?" Ethan always answers the same way. "They do not stare at me. They stare past me." Noah does not understand, but he accepts it. The billionaire is Victoria Hale, 40 years old, self-made empire, logistics and investment. She built her company from nothing. No inheritance, no shortcuts, just strategy and grit. Victoria met Ethan 5 years ago at a conference. He was consulting on supply chain optimization. She hired him for a single project. He solved it in 3 weeks. She offered him a permanent position. He declined. "I do not do permanent," he said, but he stayed available, on call, whenever she needed him. Their relationship is complicated, not romantic, not professional, something in between. Trust, deep trust. Victoria does not trust easily, but she trusts Ethan absolutely. He never leaks information, never asks for favors, never uses her name for leverage. He just shows up, does the work, leaves quietly. That is why she asked him to the wedding. Not as a date, not as a statement, just as support. "I do not want to be alone there," she said. Ethan understood. Family events were difficult for Victoria. Expectations, judgments, comparisons. "I will come, but I am bringing Noah." Victoria smiled. "Good. He is better company than most of my family." The wedding is Victoria's younger sister, marrying up, a CEO, young, ambitious, connected. The family is proud. This is the kind of match they value. Victoria is the successful one, but she is also the unmarried one, the one who prioritizes business over family. They whisper about her, behind her back, sometimes to her face. "When will you settle down? You are not getting younger." Success is not everything. Victoria has learned to ignore it, but it still hurts. That is why Ethan is here. Not to show off, not to prove anything, just to stand beside her. When they arrived at the resort, the looks started immediately. Guests scanning Ethan, judging his suit, questioning his presence. A cousin approached Victoria. "Who is your friend?" "This is Ethan." "What does he do?" Victoria smiled politely. Enough. The cousin walked away, unsatisfied. Noah noticed. "Dad, why did she ask that?" Ethan knelt down. "Because some people measure value by titles." "Do you have a title?" Ethan paused. "I used to, but titles do not make you better. They just make you louder." Noah nodded. He did not fully understand, but he trusted his father. Inside the venue, the whispers grew louder. "Is he her bodyguard? Maybe a driver?" "Definitely not from our circle." A bridesmaid approached. Beautiful, dismissive. "Wrong plus one, do not you think?" She said it to Victoria but looked at Ethan. Victoria's jaw tightened. Excuse me? The bridesmaid shrugged. I'm just saying this is a high-profile event. Optics matter. Ethan placed a hand on Victoria's arm. It is fine. Victoria looked at him. It is not fine. Let it go. The bridesmaid walked away, smug. Noah looked up at his father. Why do they talk like that? Ethan crouched down. Because they do not know any better. Should not we tell them? Tell them what? Who you are. Ethan smiled. Who I am does not matter. How I treat people does. Noah hugged him. I think you are the best. Ethan held his son. That is all I need. The ceremony was about to begin. Ethan and Victoria found their seats, near the back. Out of the way, that is where Ethan preferred to be. Invisible, quiet, unnoticed. But invisibility only lasts until someone sees you. And the groom was about to see him. The ceremony began. Music filled the room. Elegant, classical. Guests stood. The bride appeared. She walked down the aisle, smiling, glowing. The groom waited at the altar, nervous, excited. Ethan watched quietly. Noah sat beside him, swinging his legs. Then the groom glanced toward the guests. His eyes swept the room, then stopped. On Ethan. The groom's face changed, color drained. His hands trembled. He looked away quickly, but the damage was done, Ethan noticed. He sighed quietly. Victoria leaned over. What is wrong? Nothing, the ceremony is starting. But Victoria saw it too, and the groom's reaction, the fear. Do you know him? Ethan did not answer immediately. We have worked together. Worked together how? I will tell you later. The bride reached the altar. The officiant began speaking, but the groom was distracted. He kept glancing at Ethan. His hands shook as he took the bride's hands. She noticed. Are you okay? He nodded, but his voice was tight. Yes, just nervous. During the vows, he stumbled over his words, repeated phrases, lost his place. The guests shifted uncomfortably. At the reception, the humiliation continued. Victoria's mother approached their table, polite but cold. Victoria, dear, could I speak with you? Victoria stood. Of course. They stepped away, but Ethan could hear. What were you thinking bringing him? He is my guest. But who is he? What does he do? He is someone I trust. That is not an answer. It is the only answer you are getting. Victoria's mother sighed. This is your sister's wedding. Appearances matter. Then maybe you should worry less about appearances and more about substance. Victoria walked back to the table. Her face was tight. Ethan looked at her. You did not have to defend me. Yes, I did. Meanwhile, Noah was sitting alone. Ethan had stepped away to get him water. Another boy approached, same age, dressed in an expensive suit. My dad says your dad is nobody. Noah looked up. That is not true. Then what does he do? He helps people. The boy laughed. That is not a real job. It is too. My dad is a lawyer. My uncle is a senator. What is your dad? Noah did not know how to answer. He is my dad. That is enough. The boy rolled his eyes. Whatever. He walked away. Noah sat quietly, trying not to cry. When Ethan returned, he saw Noah's face. What happened? Nothing. Noah. Noah looked up. A boy said you are nobody. Ethan sat down. He pulled Noah close. Titles do not make men. Remember that. Some of the most important people in the world have no titles at all. But they said, it does not matter what they said. It matters what you know. And you know me. That is all that counts. Noah nodded, but his eyes were still sad. Ethan felt something he rarely felt. Anger. Not at the boy, at the system, at the judgment, at the shallow measurement of worth. Later, during dinner, the whispers grew louder. Ethan overheard a conversation at the next table. That is the man Victoria brought. Who is he? No idea, some consultant. Consultant? He looks like he shops at discount stores. They laughed quietly. Ethan did not react. He had heard worse. But Victoria heard it too. She stood up abruptly. Excuse me. She walked over to their table. Can I help you with something? The guest looked up, embarrassed, caught. No, we were just mocking my guest? Yes, I heard. We did not mean. You did. Own it. Victoria walked back. Ethan touched her hand. You do not have to fight my battles. I am not fighting your battles. I am fighting disrespect. The room was tense now. Guests were watching. Then the best man stood to give a speech. He was polished, charming, funny. He talked about the groom, his success, his ambition, his rise in the business world. And let me tell you, this guy is a legend. 3 years ago, he turned around a failing company, saved hundreds of jobs, built an empire. The guests clapped. The best man continued. But he will tell you himself, he did not do it alone. The groom's face went pale. The best man raised his glass. Here's to the man who taught him everything. He looked around the room. Actually, funny story. I heard he is here tonight. Ethan's stomach dropped. The best man continued. The man who saved that company, the man who made tough calls, the man who rebuilt it from the ground up. He scanned the crowd. Where is he? Stand up. Take a bow. No one moved. The groom stood abruptly. That is enough. The best man looked confused. What? I am just giving credit. I said that is enough. The room fell silent. The groom looked directly at Ethan, and everyone followed his gaze. Have you ever stayed quiet while being underestimated? Comment I have. The groom stood frozen. His bride looked at him confused. What is going on? He did not answer. He just stared at Ethan. Ethan shook his head slightly, a silent plea. Do not. But the groom was spiraling. His hands were shaking. His breath was short. The best man tried to continue. Anyway, let us toast to... Stop! The groom's voice cut through. Everyone looked at him. The bride touched his arm. Are you okay? The groom walked down from the stage, slowly, deliberately. He walked toward Ethan's table. The entire room watched. Victoria leaned toward Ethan. What is happening? Ethan spoke quietly. I tried to avoid this. Avoid what? The groom reached their table. He stood in front of Ethan. Ethan looked up, calm, resigned. The groom spoke. His voice was shaking. I did not know you would be here. Ethan nodded. I did not know you would be here either. If I had known, it is fine. Congratulations on your wedding. The groom did not move. You should be sitting up front, not back here. Ethan shook his head. I am fine where I am. But I am a guest, that is all. The bride walked over. What is going on? The groom turned to her. This is Ethan Cole. She looked at Ethan. Okay? The groom continued. He is the man I told you about. Recognition flickered in her eyes. The consultant? Not just a consultant. The groom's voice cracked. He is the reason I am standing here. The room was silent now, every ear listening. Victoria looked at Ethan. What is he talking about? Ethan sighed. It is a long story. The groom turned to the crowd. His microphone was still on. 3 years ago, I was the CEO of Barrett Industries. I was 29 years old, youngest CEO in the company's history. He paused. I thought I knew everything. I made aggressive moves, risky investments. I ignored warnings. His voice grew quieter, and I almost destroyed the company. 800 jobs, pension funds, supplier contracts. All of it was about to collapse. The guests leaned forward. The board brought in a crisis manager, someone who specialized in corporate turnarounds. He looked at Ethan. Ethan Cole. Whispers erupted. The groom continued. He arrived on a Monday. By Wednesday, he had identified every mistake I made. By Friday, he had a plan to fix it. He swallowed hard. But the plan required something I was not ready for. He told the board I had to step down. Immediately. The room gasped. I was furious. I thought he was sabotaging me. I thought he wanted power. He shook his head. But I was wrong. He did not want power. He wanted to save the company. The bride reached for his hand. He restructured everything. Cut costs, renegotiated contracts, brought in new leadership. And within 6 months, the company was profitable again. He looked at Ethan. He saved 800 jobs. He saved pensions, he saved suppliers. His voice broke. And then he left. No fanfare, no credit, no headlines. He just disappeared. Ethan spoke quietly. That was the job. The groom shook his head. It was more than a job. You gave me a second chance. You could have destroyed my reputation, but you protected me. He turned back to the crowd. Ethan made sure my exit was quiet. He made sure I could rebuild. He even connected me with the mentors who helped me start over. He gestured around the room. Everything I have now, this company, this life, this wedding, it all started because he cared more about doing what was right than taking credit. Tears ran down his face. So when I saw him sitting in the back, wearing that suit, being treated like he did not belong, he looked at the guests who had whispered. It broke my heart. The room was completely silent. The groom walked closer to Ethan. He extended his hand. Ethan stood. He shook it. The groom pulled him into a hug. Thank you for everything. Ethan patted his back. You did the work. I just pointed the way. The groom pulled back. He wiped his eyes. Then he turned to Victoria. You brought him? Victoria nodded. I did not know you knew him. The groom laughed through tears. He is the reason I know anything. He looked at Noah. Is this your son? Ethan nodded. This is Noah. The groom knelt down. Your dad is a hero. You know that? Noah looked at his father, then back at the groom. I know. The groom stood. He addressed the room again. I want everyone here to know something. The man sitting in the back. The man some of you mocked. The man some of you dismissed. He paused. He is the best leader I have ever known, not because of titles, not because of money, but because he leads with integrity. He looked directly at the relatives who had whispered. He does not need your approval. He never did, but you should be honored he is here. The guests shifted uncomfortably. Victoria stood. She looked at Ethan. Why did you not tell me? Ethan spoke quietly. Because it did not matter. It does matter. No, it does not. I came here to support you, not to impress anyone. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. You are impossible. Ethan smiled. I have been told. The bride walked over. She extended her hand to Ethan. Thank you for what you did for him, for us. Ethan shook her hand. Congratulations on your marriage. She smiled. Will you sit with us at the head table? Ethan shook his head. I'm fine here, but thank you. The groom nodded. I understand. He addressed the room one last time. I want to make something clear. Ethan Cole is not here as a consultant or a boss or anything else. He smiled. He is here as my friend, and he is welcome at every table, every event, every moment of my life. He raised his glass. To Ethan, the man who saves lives without needing applause. The room erupted in applause. Ethan sat down, uncomfortable but gracious. Noah leaned over. Dad, you are really good at your job. Ethan laughed. Thank you, buddy. Victoria sat beside him. You could have told me and ruined the quiet entrance? She shook her head. You are unbelievable. Ethan smiled. That is why you keep me around. Did his past surprise you? Comment shocked. The energy in the room shifted. People who had ignored Ethan now approached him. Respectful, curious, apologetic. A business executive extended his hand. Mr. Cole, I did not realize. I apologize for earlier. Ethan shook his hand. No apology needed. I would love to discuss some consulting opportunities with you. Ethan smiled politely. I am not taking new clients, but thank you. The man looked disappointed. He walked away. Another guest approached. You saved Barrett Industries. That is legendary. Ethan nodded. The team saved it. I just helped. Still impressive. More people came over, one by one, offering praise, offering connections, offering opportunities. Ethan was polite to all of them, but he did not engage deeply. He did not want attention. He never had. The bridesmaid who had mocked him earlier approached. She looked embarrassed. I owe you an apology. Ethan looked at her. For what? For what I said earlier, about you being the wrong +1. Ethan shrugged. You did not know. That is not an excuse. I was rude. Ethan nodded. Apology accepted. She hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you sit in the back? Why did you not say who you were? Ethan looked at Noah, then back at her. Because I did not come here to be anyone. I came here to be present. She did not understand. But you could have commanded the room. I do not want to command rooms. I want to support people who matter to me. She nodded slowly. That is rare. Ethan smiled. It should not be. Victoria's mother approached, the one who had questioned Ethan earlier. She looked uncomfortable. Mr. Cole, I owe you an apology as well. Ethan stood. Mrs. Hale, I judged you unfairly. I assumed you were not suitable. Ethan spoke gently. You were protecting your daughter, I understand. But I was wrong, and I am sorry. Ethan nodded. Thank you for saying that. She looked at Victoria. You chose well. Victoria smiled. I know. Mrs. Hale walked away. Victoria turned to Ethan. You are handling this better than I would. They do not know any better. Grace is easier than anger. You are too kind. I am realistic. Holding grudges takes energy. I would rather spend it on Noah. Noah looked up. Can we get cake now? Ethan laughed. Yes, let us get cake. They walked to the dessert table. Guests parted as they passed. Respectful now. Aware. The boy who had mocked Noah earlier approached. I am sorry for what I said. Noah looked at him. It is okay. Your dad is really cool. Noah smiled. I know. The boy extended his hand. Friends? Noah shook it. Friends. Ethan watched, proud. The groom approached Ethan one more time, privately this time. I need to ask you something. What? Are you upset I said all that? I know you value privacy. Ethan considered. A little, but I understand why you did it. I just could not let them treat you that way. Ethan put a hand on his shoulder. You did what felt right. I respect that. The groom nodded. Thank you. For everything. Not just the company, but for teaching me what leadership really means. Ethan smiled. You learned it yourself. I just asked the right questions. The groom hugged him again. If you ever need anything, ever, I am there. Ethan nodded. I know. As the reception continued, Ethan and Victoria sat together, watching the celebration. You could have stayed hidden, Victoria said. I tried, but now everyone knows. Only the people in this room, and by next week they will forget. Victoria laughed. You are probably right. Ethan looked at her. Thank you for bringing me. Even though it got complicated, especially because it got complicated. Victoria leaned her head on his shoulder. You are one of a kind, Ethan Cole. So are you, Victoria Hale. If you believe real power stays quiet, comment quiet. The wedding ended late. Guests lingered, talking, laughing, celebrating. Ethan and Noah prepared to leave. Victoria walked them to the car. You are leaving already? Ethan nodded. Noah has school tomorrow. Noah yawned. I'm really tired, Dad. Ethan picked him up. I know, buddy. Victoria looked at them. Tonight was not what I expected. Ethan smiled. Me neither. Are you okay with everything that happened? Ethan set Noah down. He looked at Victoria. I am fine, honestly. I came here to support you. Mission accomplished. Victoria laughed. You did more than that. Maybe, but that was not the plan. Victoria stepped closer. Can I ask you something? Always. Why do you hide? You have done incredible things. You have saved companies, saved careers, saved lives. Why not take credit? Ethan looked up at the stars. Because credit is not why I do it. Then why? Because someone has to, and I can. So I do. Victoria shook her head. Most people would want recognition. Most people are not me, she smiled. No, they are not. Ethan opened the car door. He helped Noah into the back seat. Noah buckled himself in. He looked at Victoria through the window. He waved. Victoria waved back. Ethan turned to her. Thank you for inviting me, despite the chaos. Thank you for coming, despite the judgment. They hugged, brief but warm. See you Monday? Victoria asked. Ethan nodded. See you Monday. He got in the car. He drove away. Victoria stood there, watching the taillights disappear. Her mother walked over. He is remarkable. Victoria smiled. Yes, he is. Why does he hide? Because he does not need to be seen to know his worth. Her mother nodded. That is rare. That is Ethan. Inside the car, Noah was already half asleep. Dad? Yeah, buddy? Today was weird. Ethan laughed. It was. But I am glad we went. Me too. People thought you were nobody, but you are not. Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror. What am I? Noah smiled. You are my dad. That is the most important thing. Ethan's throat tightened. You are right. That is the most important thing. Noah yawned again. I love you, Dad. I love you too. By the time they got home, Noah was fully asleep. Ethan carried him inside. He put him to bed. He kissed his forehead. Then he sat in the living room, alone, quiet. He thought about the wedding, the judgment, the reveal, the apologies. He thought about the groom's words. You are a hero. Ethan did not feel like a hero. He just felt like a man doing his job. But maybe that was enough. Maybe quiet leadership was not about recognition. It was about impact. Maybe power was not about being seen. It was about being effective. Ethan looked at a photo on the wall. Him and Noah, smiling. That was his power. That was his success. Not the companies he saved, not the careers he rebuilt, not the lives he changed, but the life he lived, with integrity, with purpose, with love. And that was more than enough. Not everyone called boss needs to stand on stage. Some leaders only appear when necessary. Ethan did not come to the wedding to be recognized, but truth has a way of surfacing. And sometimes one word spoken by accident can overturn every assumption. The most powerful people in the room are often the quietest. They do not need validation. They do not need applause. They do not need titles. They just need purpose. Ethan saved a company, saved careers, saved a young CEO from his own mistakes. And then he walked away. No credit, no headlines, no ego. Because real leadership is not about being seen. It is about making sure the right things happen, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. That is power. Quiet, steady, unshakable. Subscribe if you believe true leaders do not need titles.